Relations Director for the LA 2024 Olympic bid.
Janet, what are your impressions of Rio so far since you've been here?
I think Rio is amazing. How can you not think it's amazing with this beautiful landscape behind us? But more importantly, the people are excited to have the Olympic Games here. The crowds are great at the stadiums. I've been at swimming, of course, the last few nights, and they scream and cheer so loud for their athletes. But they also, I went to fencing and they're cheering, and all these great sports that have brought the Brazilian people together to celebrate sport and celebrate the Olympic movement, and it's just wonderful to be here.
And you've obviously been keeping tabs on the swimming. How do you feel about Katie Ledecky and her performance? You all have similar records.
Yes. I think Katie Ledecky is swimming as we expected her to swim, which is absolutely amazing. She is dominating in the pool, but she's also handling herself with grace and class, and I think she's such a great ambassador for our sport and the Olympic movement, and she's only 19 years old, hard to believe.
Now, you've heard about the whole Lily King Efimova sort of rivalry. What is your take on all of that, and how the Olympics is handling the topic of doping?
Well, I had the pleasure of attending the IOC session a few days before the games began, where the IOC spoke about this issue, and it's a global issue. It is a global thing. The IOC and the World Anti-Doping Agency are working hard. I believe that they will resolve this problem and get everything back on track as it should be. But right now, I think in the pool, the swimmers are getting out there and doing what they do best, which is swimming and swimming fast. And I know in my days as a competitor, you can't help what anyone else does. All you can do is help what you do. And so you kind of put your blinders on, you put your goggles on, you get out there and you swim your race to the best of your ability as you've been trained to do.
Do you applaud Lily King for speaking out? Is it something that time has come?
It's interesting. In my sport 40 years ago, anyone that spoke out it wasn't really welcome. So it's been interesting to watch Lily. I think what I loved most about her swim in the 100 breaststroke was that she put her money where her mouth was. She, before the race, she had the courage to say, "I'm going to win. I'm going to beat her," and she did. So that was pretty cool.
Michael Phelps has been dominating swimming for so long. What do you think is the key to success like that for dominating a sport for so many years?
Yeah, I think the thing that Michael does so well is he puts all the peripheral noise, as I was just speaking about, out of his head. He gets up on the blocks and he swims. And he doesn't think about anything else but his swimming. And when you come to the Olympics, especially with someone like him, or Katie Ledecky, or even someone like Lily King, there's so much pressure placed upon them with everyone, with sponsors, with fans, with the sport, and to just be able to stand up on the blocks and do your thing, it's incredible.
As someone who's competed and knows that pressure, is there anything that you would do, or any good luck superstitions that you would do before you competed in a really big race in Olympics?
I always had to have pasta the night before, and I always stepped on the blocks the same way, and if I didn't swim well, I'd have to get a new suit. So I kept going through suits if I was having a bad swim meet. But athletes are very superstitious. Swimmers are as superstitious as any. The problem is when you come to the Olympics, things change. You're living in a village, you got to take the bus to the venue. There's a lot of shifts in what you're doing. So you kind of have to be a little nimble with your superstitions as an athlete at the Olympic Games, because sometimes they might not have pasta that night in the village. So you have to be make it a little fluid. But I was very superstitious, like most athletes.
You're also the vice chair for LA 2024, trying to bring the games. What are you learning from Rio that would help bring the games to LA?
So I'm working with the bid committee. I'm the vice chair to bring the Los Angeles area and California and the entire nation, the Summer Games, back to the United States for the first time since Atlanta in 1996. So part of my role here in Rio is to observe, to listen, to look around, to see what's going great and to see what's maybe could be improving. I'm speaking to IOC members, getting to know them. But one thing that I keep hearing is, transportation. Have everyone trained so they know where they're going. Clearly in 1984, traffic cleared out of the city of Los Angeles. Rio is a very busy city, but I'm just learning that to have the joy that the Brazilians seem to have for these games, to have the warmth and the excitement is really wonderful. And I do believe if we are fortunate to host the games in 2024, that the American people will revel in it as much as the Brazilians are here today.
So how are you sort of selling the games? Why should the games come to LA?
Well, the games should come to LA because our president, IOC President Thomas Bach, issued a new agenda, which is called Agenda 2020, which asks for cities, many things, but one of the things is cities that are bidding for the 2024 Olympics to have infrastructure already built. In Los Angeles, 97% of our permanent venues are already built, and they will be there irregardless of whether we win the Olympic Games or not for 2024. So instead of spending 7 years between the IOC vote and the hosting of the games, building facilities, making sure that everything is built properly, we'll be focusing on the athlete experience. We'll be making sure that the fans have a great experience, that the friends and families of the athletes have a great experience, that the media have a great experience. So, with all of our venues built, we're proposing our village be at UCLA, which already houses 17,000 students from all over the world when school is in session. We already have the Coliseum. So we have these great iconic venues that will serve the Olympic movement and serve the Olympic Games, and we can get down to the real business, which is taking care of the athletes.
So I want to wrap up. Speaking of iconic moments, you are known for an iconic moment for passing the torch to Muhammad Ali at the Atlanta Games in 1996. How does that feel? It's an iconic moment. And with his passing this year, what are your thoughts about that moment?
Watching, being able to stand there in Atlanta next to Muhammad Ali as he lit the 1996 torch and lit that cauldron to start the Olympic Games, it was a true sign of courage on his part to stand up there in front of the world in the honor of the Olympics. So what that taught me is that the Olympics bring people together. Wherever they're from, whatever their history, whatever their position in life, the Olympics are an exciting event that make the world better. And I think we need that right now. And no one embodied that more than Muhammad Ali. And I think that's why his loss hit us all so hard earlier this summer. But I think his spirit lives on here at the Games. He was an Olympian, and he was proud of that, and he was an Olympic champion, and that that was a strong part of his life, and it was such an honor to be a part of that little moment. But it gave me perspective on the Olympics, that it's not always about winning; it's about getting out there and doing your best with the given circumstances.
And what advice do you give to competitors, winners or losers? How do they deal with that, and also with the onslaught of celebrity?
Well, I think that we focus so much on winning. It's what we do, especially in our country. Winning in gold and silver and bronze, we have our medal counts. But at the end of the day, 90% of the athletes that compete here at the Olympics and the Paralympic Games don't win medals. But they're here and they're representing their countries and their families and their coaches. And they're here to experience it and do the best on their given day of competition. And I think that's what I love about the Olympics, is this accumulation of amazing athletes that are just here to do their best.
What was it like the first time you won?
It was amazing the first time I won. It was a dream come true. It's really hard to put into words. It was surprising. I was just 17 years old. I was little and skinny and not really supposed to win, but I had worked hard. I had basically done my homework by going to practice every single day, and the Olympics were my test, and I got up there as I knew I could, as I'd practiced and was able to come home with a gold.
Do you miss being an athlete and being out in the field? Do you wish you were out there swimming this time around?
I don't miss being an athlete. I love sitting in the stands and watching, but I do, miss a little bit of the competition, and I love seeing the camaraderie between Team USA. But it's fun to still be involved in this movement and be a part of it.
So you're one of those people who can tell people watching at home what it's like to be on the other side. What is it like to be an athlete? What are they thinking about right now?
The athletes are here focused on what they're doing. And what they're doing is coming here, living in the village, going to their venue, swimming, running, jumping, playing to the best of their abilities, and they're completely focused. And that's why they're here. They're here to compete. And all of this, the fans, the media, it's amazing. But at the end of the day, it's all about them and their races or their matches.
So what advice do you have to them when they're dealing with all the fans and the races and the media and going back home as a gold medalist? What is that like?
It's the greatest athletes, the best athletes, the athletes that will compete the best here in Rio are the athletes that put that aside. that come here, they know what they need to do on the day of their competition. They get up on the starting blocks or on the field, they do what they're here to do. They liaise with their team, they have a plan, and they execute. And that's the greatest athletes.
And what are you looking forward to seeing in the next week?
I'm looking forward to actually going to track and field. I'm looking forward to hopefully some gymnastics. I'd really like to get out to diving. I'd like to support our women's water polo team because they're doing amazing. I was trying to get out to rugby to see the inaugural rugby tournament here at the Olympic Games. I'm going to archery this afternoon, and we're actually, after the awards ceremony, they're going to let some other sports, some other athletes actually try archery. So that should be interesting for me because all I know how to do is swim, but I am looking forward to experiencing all the other sports.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Oh, we're out. Are we good?
This is the last time you have a 10-minute interview.
That was